those killer hornets to finally come and sting me.
Yeah. You've been trying at those for a while, haven't you?
I know. I've been trying to get them for. I was like, I want to farm them and then like train them like homing pigeons, so I can like send it out. You're like, all right, hornet, kill him.
Go get this person.
Go get this person.
All right. Hey, YouTube catching right up tonight. Look at that. We're live. And we're right on time. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 237, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the awesome community that hangs out over there.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm a little bummed that you're stealing my look. I mean,
oh yes, I know, right?
Like what the like? Those are like almost a perfect match as far as frames go.
I was basically thinking, it's like, how do I get more subs? It's the glasses.
It's got to
be the glasses. Yeah. And so I'm just gonna like,
we need to grow about 8 inches too, but you know.
That's all camera angles, smoke and mirrors. You're like actually Linus's height.
I'm actually like 5'9", right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a good show tonight. Let's see. Broadcom announces plans to buy VMware for $61 billion, putting it at the third largest technology acquisition in history. We've got Microsoft competing with ARM. We've got mobile handhelds competing with x86. Cats and dogs eating each other. Or something like that.
Something like that.
Amazon making an ARM chip, their third generation ARM chip. We have some details on that. And John can now officiate your wedding. All that and more coming up on the show. All you have to do is come to him. He's on a couple no-fly lists. So
yeah, so you come to me and you pay for it. I will do it for free as long as it's an open bar.
There you go.
That's it. That's a steal.
Boy, that's an expensive bar tab. I hope they bought the place out.
Yeah, you can't deny me either. Like you can't stop servicing.
Right. It's an open bar. I'll Uber home. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris is drinking a Breakside. What Rough Beast? That is a fantastic IPA. We got Patrick with a High Water Nitro Campfire Stout. That's one I have not heard of before. Ooh, Skull is drinking an all-time classic, Toppling Goliath King Sue.
Oh, I have a couple of those coming in too.
Good stuff. Novella's got a Treehouse Brewing, Little Stituous Imperial Milk Stout, 10.8%. John J says you look like you officiate in 8-bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, is mine low? Am I low res?
I don't know. You look fine to me.
I look fine. Yeah, I look. It's a little
fuzzy.
Off.
Little fuzzy. Yeah. Oh well.
Who knows? Whatever. We've streamed through worse.
Yeah. At least you got all 24 frames. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah.
Jeremy's having some Mountain Dew tonight. We got Michael with a Fretboard Brewing Bootsy IPA. Another one I have not heard of before. Good stuff.
Did you miss anything earlier on?
I don't think so. Most importantly, John, what are you drinking tonight?
I got a sour and an IPA, and I'm really wanting the IPA.
Yeah?
So I'm going to start off with my IPA. This is Parish Brewing Ghost in the Machine.
Ooh.
So 8.5%.
Nice. I've got a hazy and an IPA. And I think I'm going to start with the IPA as well. I think I'm going to put the hazy back in the fridge because that kind of deserves to be there. So momentarily.
Oh, yes.
Like, these are two that I kind of want to drink cold, but I want to drink them both tonight. So one's got to go back. John, how would you describe an American IPA?
An American IPA, bitter, grassy notes, maybe not a little bit of citrus, and some malt.
Okay,
clear too, probably.
Yes, that would be my assumption as well. Pretty much, you said everything that I was thinking of. So I have what the Norwegians consider to be an American IPA from Nogne. And I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nogne is the American IPA, clocking in at 7.5% and 60 IBUs. And we will see how this goes.
I've had, it was a Japanese American IPA, and my goodness, it was horrible.
Yes, I've had one of those as well. Didn't have a good experience with that one.
Yeah.
But this one in the bottle at least looks crystal clear.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, I see it clearing right up at the bottom. Boy, it's almost like you poured it.
It's your glassware. It's dirty glassware.
It is. Actually, it is a dirty glass. I had a drink earlier. And yes, thank you, Claw, for sending me a nice little variety pack of these. What I can tell you is right off the bat is it smells like an IPA.
Well, at least that's good. This smells like orange pineapple juice.
Ooh.
It's wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to let that one die down just a little bit. I don't feel like drinking quite that much foam tonight. But let's go ahead and get into the news. Starting with the big story that dropped last Thursday. And that is Broadcom has announced plans to acquire VMware in a $61 billion with a B dollar deal. This would be the third largest technology acquisition in history, second only to Dell buying EMC for $63 billion and Microsoft's current plans to buy Blizzard Activision for $69 billion. So this is a pretty big deal in that kind of a world. Not a lot has been announced of the merger, but I can already tell you a lot of enterprises are not that happy. Broadcom is known for a couple of different things, putting drivers behind paywalls. Broadcom makes ARM processors. They also make a lot of integrated peripherals. They own LSI, the RAID and HBA company that most people end up using in a lot of systems. They're already not the most fun company to deal with, from having had some minor dealings with them before, and just things in general. However, they also are the makers of the CPUs that go into the Raspberry Pi. Those use Broadcom ARM v11 processors. So they're not a bad company, but they're a very large company that gives zero Fs about what you think about their money-making strategies, I will say. Kind of like all big companies. But a lot of people are pretty worried about this acquisition because they rely on VMware for infrastructure, data center management, virtualization management of hyper and exascale level data centers. And as far as options in that space, there's not a lot. We all like to think of XCP-NG and Proxmox and KVM, and they are fairly competent hypervisors. There's not really exascale support for anything outside of VMware. VMware is kind of the industry standard. You don't get fired for buying VMware. You don't get fired for buying Cisco. Those
if you've never heard of VMware, you're like, okay, you're probably at least, you should have heard of it. It should have been at least in your, vocabulary.
Right. Yeah, big or small, you're probably aware of who VMware is. But there's a lot of people that are worried. And probably with some good reason. Because yesterday, Broadcom announced that they are going to plan a quote-unquote rapid transition to a subscription revenue service for VMware, eliminating the traditional perpetual licensing. Yeah. Who saw that one coming?
What? I know.
What? Subscription on enterprise. What?
Yeah.
Subscription for anything these days.
Yeah. Soon they're going to have their own streaming channel.
Yeah.
And game. Like, oh, let's build our own game infrastructure too.
I'm kind of waiting for just Subway to come out with a subscription service so you can go in, you can have as many sandwiches as you want, and it's like $40 a month. Like,
hang on.
Like, it's a good idea, right?
That's actually not a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, that is not a bad idea.
Right. But, like, that's the next step. They've brought subscription services to, like, everything else. True. There's nothing left that I don't subscribe for.
I mean, I guess this would be interesting because, I mean, I'm pretty sure they already have, like, if I remember correctly, there's already, like, yeah, you get the first 30 days for free, like every normal base. What are they trying to do with the subscription base other than just, cash in more money and rip more people off? Are they going to lower the price to kind of appeal to lower end consumers who want a virtual machine or VMware software? I guess I just don't quite know what they're going to be doing with this.
Well, it's a new way of doing business, and it's a new way that started. It's hard to put a number or a date or a year when this started, but
Netflix.
Well, Netflix kind of with the subscription service for, DVD? Watch as many movies as you want. You can have 2 DVDs at a time. And so that was kind of a thing. There's a couple of other subscription services that kind of took off around that same time. But as far as services that were traditionally perpetual or per instance, and typically when you buy software, you bought a perpetual instance of that software. As far as the software side of things goes, I could probably point to like Adobe going to the Creative Suite.
That's a good one.
As really when the pendulum swung the other way and people saw, why are we selling perpetual licenses, which we make X money at the time of sale and then have to support for years down the road? And the only reason we get more money is if we give them a compelling reason to upgrade and then buy that software suite again. Versus if we make one version of our product and slowly incrementally update it and improve it every year, but we charge users $15 a month to use it. They can use it as much as they want, as often as they want, or they can choose to stop using it. But if they choose to stop paying us, they choose to stop using it.
Yeah.
And they were kind of the first big one to really start going that way. And I think that was around 2014, 2015, during the transition from the numbered versions of Photoshop, like Photoshop 7, Photoshop CS. It was that CS, CS2, CS3, somewhere in that range that they started making that transition. And now, gosh, what can't you get on subscription?
I know.
I get
2011.
Okay. Further away than I thought, but
yeah.
But it's like I have subscriptions for cat pads for our litter box from Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Automatic delivery.
Automatic delivery. Like, I don't even think about it. They just, new cat pads are here. Awesome. We have a subscription for my son's formula. It just shows up. Like, but this started with Netflix, Adobe, and a couple other products have done this as well. But if you look at where a lot of other services are going, and I had a couple ones in mind, but think of Subway. Think of like Subway offering like, as many sandwiches as you want in a month for, $25. Or
even like going to oil can handlers, get free oil changes, give us $100 a month or something like that.
Right. But there are actually a number of companies that are starting to design their purchasing method around that, because there's nothing investors like more than recurring and steady revenue sources. Yeah. They don't want to wait 3 years until your next software release. They want money this month, next month, every month. And they want to be able to project based on how many subscribers you have and the growth of your subscribers, what they should expect their returns to be. So,
yeah, and a lot of times too, with subscription-based models like this, and especially for enterprise-based, the price point will probably be a little bit smaller, so it might appeal to them. But then subscription stuff just somehow gets buried in paperwork in accounting, and it gets forgotten about, and it might not get used. A lot of times, if you sit there like we were talking about the Netflix or now all the streaming services or gaming streaming, a lot of people are subscribed to these things and be like, oh, it's only $3-4 a month. I don't even use it anymore. When it's enterprise, if you switch IT guys or something and your system switches, you could forget about it, or you could just stop utilizing all of it. I wonder if they're thinking something around that type of model too, or if it'll be smaller end for smaller users. Yeah. They'll only use it a little bit, but then they're going to be getting this constant revenue now for all these other people. Maybe not even the enterprise. Maybe it's just the lower end users that, we'll sell it to you for that, $5 a month, even though you only need it a couple times a year or use it a couple times a year for your hobbies. But you're getting hit 5 times a month. And you'll probably forget about it after 2 years because you're like, I dropped out of whatever, life got busy, and you're no longer into as much tech as you might be.
Right.
But it's still being charged out of your bank account. And they got you on hook for the next 5 years. And you're like, I didn't even know that was coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of software has gone that way. Someone pointed out in the chat, Autodesk also went that way. And they followed exactly in Adobe's footsteps. Is they used to sell multi-$1,000 licenses for AutoCAD, SolidWorks, etc. And now it's like, oh, you need this application? Yeah, that's $15 a month. If you want, and they get a charge per user, per account. They also get analytics based on who's using it, what they're using it. And
that's another good point.
Yeah. So it's just the way it is. But I can imagine a paradigm shift in the way you've previously done licensing with a company, a la VMware. You've purchased perpetual licenses for your server, and they live for the life of the server. You're not going to be thrilled about pulling the trigger once those perpetual licenses go away.
Yep.
And people are less and less thrilled about pulling the trigger on licensed software upgrades if you have aging hardware. Now, the biggest of the bigs, I'm talking the Amazons, Microsofts, etc.'s of the world who run, multi-continent data centers. They're pretty much all 100% proprietary, in-house built systems. They may run a combination of open source and closed source software, but they're not necessarily using VMware for all of their stacks. However, if you move out to just the next tier down of data centers, a lot of them are using VMware. And it's just what people use anymore. And like I said, there's not really a lot of competition in that space. And at that scale, I'm sorry, but as much as I love Proxmox, as much as I love XCP-ng, they're not, at least at this point in time, valid competitors for exascale compute. They don't have the feature set. They don't have the proprietary drivers. They don't have all of the things that have been built up over the years for VMware. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly happens. AJ says even 1Password is now a subscription. Yeah, 1Password, LastPass, NordPass, they've all gone subscription service. So yeah, services that were in any way, shape, or form hosted are now subscription service.
Well, that's how they get you too, is they'll most of the time they'll do it's one time or free for a year, and then you love it and your life is based around it. And then they're like, well, we're going to be doing a subscription service, $3 a month. And you're like, okay, all right, I'm already using it. It's convenient for my life, $3.
Here's a great example. How did you used to buy music? I'm sorry, you never bought music. How did most people used to buy music? How did most people used to buy music? They would get onto iTunes. They'd spend $1 a song or $10 an album, right?
Yep.
Guess what Apple has? Apple Music. Guess what Spotify has now? They have Spotify subscriptions. Go down the list of those types of services where you used to buy a perpetual license for a song, a movie, a game, Xbox Game Pass. You're no longer buying games from the Xbox store. You're just subscribing for $15 a month to Xbox Game Pass and playing whatever games they happen to have on it. And you get enough new releases that you don't necessarily need to go buy the new releases anymore.
Yeah, no, it's true. But again, it just comes back down to they're slowly just sucking your money away, and you got all of these coming out. It comes back to the whole cable TV. You know what we should do with all these subscriptions? Put them all together in some form of bundle, and we could kind of twist it all in some form of wire fastening system, and we can plug it into a single device.
Yeah.
And we'll just flip through these boxes, maybe a different channel or space or room.
Yeah, but you know what?
ID numbers.
You know what? If I were a consumer, I would want more of I get to pick and choose what channels I want.
Throw that out.
And so, I would probably search out the companies that are offering those single channels, and I could sacrifice the others if I save 80% of my bill. I don't need to pay $150 for this magic device that comes into my house if I can pay $25 and get most of the way there. So what does the corporation do? Well, they decide that, we're going to start up our own streaming service. No blackjack, no hookers. Those are all additional charges. And now you're going to have to pay us $15 directly. Look, we're so much cheaper than cable ever was. But okay, well, now I've got Disney and ESPN Plus and Hulu and Netflix and
yeah. Now, but
oddly enough, I'm back to $120 a month for all of my TV.
Exactly. Now, if only there was a company that could make a contract that could license all of these subscriptions and bundle it together for a low cost of, say, 30 or 40% cheaper. But you had to sit through some, say, commercials for that convenience. And it would just directly go to your TV.
No, the new way of doing things is if I'm paying for it, I don't want to see ads.
Well, now the new subscription base is now subscription models. There's tiered systems.
Yeah.
It's going to be that way. I think Netflix is going that way, is what I heard.
Yep.
So.
Yay.
Yay. Well, yeah, Hulu's already that way.
Yep. So yeah, subscriptions for everyone. You get a subscription, and you get a subscription. Oh wait, sorry, you have to pay for a subscription. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yes. So subscriptions for all. Actually, though, someone did state that VMware was already in the process of converting over to a subscription-based model back in February.
Yep. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, but I mean, they were probably already looking by that time to be like, look, we need to buy a buyer or, find a seller or buyer.
The fact that the ink wasn't even dry on the tweet and Broadcom has already gone, yeah, we're going to expedite that plan. We're going to get directly to subscription modeling. Like by the end of the year, we're going to be... That has some people a little worried.
Yeah.
Especially if they, I don't know, take away service subscriptions or support plans for existing perpetual licensing and say you can only have support if you buy a subscription license.
Yeah, where have we heard that one before?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Although...
Lost my train of
At least there's still beer.
At least there's still beer. How was yours, by the way?
Very delicious. Now, there's a subscription-based model. All the beer I could drink for $20 a month.
You know what? I'm for it. Except I'd need like the $80 subscription.
I know.
Service.
I'd be like the $100.
Yeah.
That's still probably.
What do I get for platinum membership?
Yeah. I need the Black Diamond Visa card version. I need the brewers just to live at my house and just constantly brew. But all small batch because it's like, I just want new stuff. I don't want to drink that stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How is your Northwest Norwegian IPA?
Yeah. So my Norwegian American IPA.
American. There it is.
It's very pleasant. Very pleasant. It is not the same notes that I would get from your standard IPA here. So if you think your Stone, your Ninkasi, your Sierra Nevada, your standard off the shelf IPA. Mm-hmm. This isn't the same beer, but it's in the same family. Like, it's definitely in the same family. It's not really citrusy up front. It's a richer, smoother juice flavor than that.
Wonder if that's just the yeast strain they might have used, or the grain bill. Right,
and it totally could be. But it's a smoother, slightly thicker, but not like a dank IPA or like a heavy Northwest IPA where it's that clingy, oily. It's just very smooth, very pleasant.
IPA.
Right.
I guess that is an American IPA, right?
American IPA. Yeah, it's smooth. It's a little bit sweet. There's and again, it's this real rich malt flavor in the middle of it that is familiar yet also foreign. It's just different, and I really like it. But then on the back end, it definitely lets you know it's an IPA. It all of a sudden dries out very quickly, where it starts, like I said, very, very wet and juicy, and ends very, very dry, and gives you just a little bit of that clinginess and that bitterness left over. Not really a grassiness on the back end, but
do they say what hops were used? Just curious.
I don't think they do.
Actually, you know what it could be is because they're from Norway. I wonder how fresh those hops are.
Right.
That's actually probably what it is.
Could be. Yeah, if they shipped in some Simcoe or something like that.
Maybe it just took too long, or sat around too long.
I will say, it's not at all unpleasant. Like, it's a very good IPA. 7.5%.
Oh, there you go.
Definitely solid.
It's legal there? How can they sell it?
I think you have to go to a bottle shop to get it, actually. So, yeah. Very good. Fairly clear. There was a little bit of...
it looks fine.
It looks... Yeah. I did just top it off, so... with whatever was left in the bottle. But, yeah. Good stuff. Oh, apparently it's Cascade hops.
Oh, okay. I was just about to look it up, so.
Yeah. Like I said, it's familiar, but also not. It's interesting. And I like it.
Rich, malty, very bitter ale. Cascade hops for a long, fruity spice finish.
Yeah. You know what else I like a lot? Today's video sponsor, Linode.
I like them too.
If you've ever thought about hosting your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the resources to invest into hardware, time, power, cooling, or even space, why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software for most of the tutorials on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS server, VPN gateway, your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site. Because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode also recently announced they are the first alternative cloud provider to have NVMe block storage available to all customers. In September, they began rolling out NVMe drives to all 11 of their global data centers. Best of all, storage rates will remain at the same low price they always have been. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and again, a huge thanks to Linode for continuing to sponsor this episode.
So we got a super chat in, pretty decent size one, too, from Tech Geek. So, said he missed a couple weeks, and I'm late to the party tonight, but didn't forget about you guys. Evening, gents. Drinking a Mountain Dew as per usual, $50.
Cheers to you, Tech Geek. Thank you very much. Just as good as a Mountain Dew.
Well, he's got to try the Bud Light Seltzer Mountain Dew.
Ew. Ugh. You know what was actually really good was Dewshine. When they reintroduced their classic Mountain Dew recipe.
The original Mountain Dew recipe.
Yeah, it was a little bit sweeter, a little less carbonation, but it was meant as a shine mixer. And so it mixed quite well with vodkas and whiskeys and things like that. I thought it was delicious. Let's see. What else do we have today?
We got Microsoft.
Yes. The rest of the show is going to be a little topsy-turvy. No one is doing what they normally do. In fact, they're like playing in someone else's backyard. So it's going to get a little weird. Microsoft is diving a little further into the ARM-based compute model. And will be attempting to take on the M1 Mac Mini with what they're calling Project Volterra. And if the casing looks familiar, it probably should. It's pretty much an identical form factor, but with an Windows logo on top instead of an Apple logo. This will be powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor of unknown variant. And hopefully run Windows.
They didn't say too much about it in this, and their video was just a big hype video of snappy angles and look, you can stack them. Yeah, and you can run Visual Studios, and that was it. I mean, the screenshots look like there's in a Windows 11 at the bottom. Don't know if it's a proprietary, or the Windows NV or whatever it was of 11.
Mm-hmm. It's Windows.
I don't know. Basically, this is just going to be a powerful Microsoft Surface. But, well, not even a powerful one because those run on Intels, don't they?
Those are on Intel, right.
Yeah.
This is going to be an ARM-based PC.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. So we all know that Apple has had very good success in essentially translating at the native level x86 and 64 instructions over to ARM-based instructions. Getting near native or sometimes even better than native speeds over on the ARM CPU. Snapdragon has had, shall we say, less success as far as they have a method to do it, but it is entirely software based. And so can I call it an emulator? Are you all going to get pissed off if I just call it emulation? Like, can we agree that translation layers are emulation? You ever piss off a community so much they changed the Wikipedia article after you posted a video? Because I have. Because compatibility layer used to say a form of emulation, and now it does not.
Like built for Windows developers.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Built for people who know what TF they're doing and aren't gonna crap about it when it doesn't work properly.
Yeah, or does, only does 85% of what you actually
meant for the
do.
adventurous. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I will hold my reserve. There's no price point on this. There's nothing about this really other than it's just we're going to compete with Apple.
Yeah.
So buy Windows.
I love that it's still very much a Microsoft product because there's cables hanging out the sides.
I don't know. That kind of turned me on about it. I was like, yeah, they got cable. They got ports. It's cool.
Yep.
Got 2 USB-Cs, 3 USB 3.0s, Ethernet, power, which should actually just have been USB 3, but whatever. And I think is that firewall? Or no, that's probably mini display.
Firewire, what?
Firewire. No, I was gonna say that's probably mini display.
Let's see. We've got 2 USB-Cs. That's a mini display port. Yeah.
Yeah.
No full-size HDMI. What the crap? What the crap, Microsoft?
That is an interesting one, yeah. But it looks like they put a restart button. So you're going to power and a restart.
Yeah.
Typical PC.
Yeah, well, you have to have the restart button.
Yeah.
For when it locks up.
Yeah. You don't shut it down, you just restart. You don't turn it off. You have to just restart it.
I want to look up something real quick. So yeah, ARM coming in a fairly big way to Windows.
Something, maybe. Well, we did talk about this, though, with Windows 11 being supposedly ARM compatible.
Yeah.
This could be their first big push, obviously, to that. Their first actual device that's like that. Because we talked about it being on, Linux devices and Raspberry Pis, because that was a thing. So, because it was, actually, no, I didn't even know what process, because it didn't say what ARM-based. I don't know. This is just going to be, because this is all pure speculation. This is just a hype piece.
Yeah.
That's all this is. So just look at this. I don't know. Again, so far, even the Windows ARM stuff that has come out, like you said, it's like 80%, or it's kind of there. It's for the adventures. You have to know what you're doing. You're setting it up, and it still is kind of emulator.
Right.
It's over a Linux-based kernel, basically.
Yeah.
Like, here's Windows with the Linux kernel in the background.
Yeah.
And we'll just translate everything over it.
Yep. So, should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see if Qualcomm Snapdragon integrates the same or similar style of x86 instruction translation emulation that Apple has done with the ARM in their M1 and M1 Max and Ultras and whatever. Could you just put numbers on them? Like,
yeah.
Gosh. Or at least like subletters, like M1C, like M1XYZ. I don't care. Just no more M1 Max in my M1 Apple Mac. But God, it drives me nuts. Moving on. From desktops that run ARM to traditional ARM products that run x86. Ioneo is announcing a new Windows-based handheld and an unreleased AMD mobile processor chipset at a price point that we really have not seen before. $289 for an AMD RDNA 2 powered 6-inch handheld from the up and coming company.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I've reviewed the Aya Neo Next, but Aya Neo has only been around since 2020. But man, are they getting really innovative really quick. Now, obviously, this chipset was likely designed for low-end laptops, taking the place of Athlon or even Semperon in AMD's lineup. But you get enough power and a 720p screen, you can do some pretty cool things, especially if it's running SteamOS.
Well, and at that price point, I mean, that is the low end of gaming, a portable gaming device. I mean, that is a used Switch price right there.
Right.
Or a brand new Switch Lite, which, I mean, this even looks like that. Quality doesn't look the greatest, but again, that's just a picture.
It's certainly not going to be up to the same quality of their, $1,300 Aya Neo Next or even their $800 Aya Neo. But neither is the Steam Deck.
No.
Like, the Steam Deck's a great product, don't get me wrong. But it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles. And it is just plastic. And it's a little bit lighter than you might expect. Now, it's certainly still a solid piece of kit, but it's not the same robustness that the Aya Neo Next is. And the fact that we're going to start looking at some nice, affordable, low-end gaming PCs that everyone likes to call, the GPD Win 3, the Switch killer, or the Aya Neo Next, or even the Steam Deck. Will this kill the Switch? No, because well-equipped, it still costs more than twice as much before you've even bought software. So no, you want a 500 gig, Steam Deck. Number one, it's a much larger form factor. Number two, you're talking about a device that is literally double the cost of a Switch OLED. $350 versus $679. It's right in that conversation of double the price. Versus something like this at $289 at a 6-inch form factor and a fairly sleek body. You could make the argument. This is going to kill some Switches.
I think this is going to, I don't know, I kind of think these, because there was the Ion Neo that you reviewed, and then the Neo 2 that we talked about. That thing looks amazing. Now, the price point on that is the higher end, but my gosh, it looks amazing. The Steam Deck is, like you were saying, a little higher. I'm wondering if these are going to start killing gaming laptops more than the portable gaming device like the Switch. I think this is going to kill, because if these start becoming affordable and dockable, maybe if they even come with their own dock system, or you can probably find easily a third-party dock system to where you could just hook up a mouse and a keyboard and just play, and a monitor and still play, and then just take it off and keep going. I would be more interested in something like that.
Right.
And then something that I can also just browse the internet. I could do a live stream, a quick podcast or something, I would be more interested in paying the $700-800 for something like that and know it does dual functions. But I'll still have my Switch.
Right. I will say, the handhelds in that range have never really competed with laptops, because while you can dock them, they're not really usable as... It's the same argument between the iPad and Chromebooks, where iPads are creation devices. You can create things directly from an iPad. You can edit photos, you can, type you can do more on an iPad than you can on a Chromebook. And I say that as a fan of both devices equally. The interface on the iPad lends itself to being more of a creation device than a consumption device. A Chromebook is a consumption device with some creation aspects to it. I also say this as someone who purchased quite literally thousands of devices for education clients over the years. there are different use cases for both devices, and both of them are perfectly legitimate. But what we found was that unless you're just writing a paper, a Chromebook was a consumption device, whereas an iPad was more of a creative device. You could create things. You could actually do things on an iPad. So take that with all the salt that you want. But the same can be applied here to 6 and 7 inch handheld gaming machines with joysticks and ABXY buttons and no keyboard and no mouse and limited video output options and whatnot, to $7, $8, $9, $1,000 laptops. Because you're not going to be writing a paper on an Aya Neo Lite. Meanwhile, you're also not going to be gaming on a $700 laptop, at least very easily. I can certainly see someone who may be interested in a gaming laptop at $1,000 or $1,300 instead going, you know what, I could probably buy a Chromebook and one of these, and now I've got everything. I've got gaming in a Switch form factor, and I've got productivity in a laptop with money left over.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know, because when the Switch first came out, what was that, 2018, something like that?
16.
Oh my gosh, that thing's old.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a new one of that yet? But even that, I was very weary of the
March
concept
3rd,
of it being
17.
Yep. Of it being, no one's going to want to do this. This isn't that good of a device. It's not going to be that powerful. It's not going to be able to do the things it does. It's proven me wrong, and I've gotten used to that form factor of pop it in, I grab a controller, I sit over here. I don't think it would take too long to pop it in. Your computer's now your TV, and you grab your mouse and keyboard.
Right. And
you walk away, and then you take it up, and then, you're just taking it off the game. I guess you could theoretically use the touchpad, but then that aspect could leave. But I was thinking more of if you have a under $300 device that is meant for gaming, but you could, with a $25 dock, go and then use it and put Word or something on there to write your paper, to browse the internet. Or it might be worth it because you're going to be able to do that, and you wouldn't be able to do it with a $300 laptop.
Right. You're
going to have to spend that $700. So this might be better for that kid who wants a laptop and a gaming device. And he's like, I can't afford either.
Right.
I got to pick one or the other. I mean, I just hope it comes with that option. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be the best at it. I would just like to have that option to test that theory out, I guess.
Yeah. No, and I think that's completely valid. Mo Zamboni sends over $12. Thank you very much. I must say, thanks to your unique approach to YouTube videos, very inspiring. I'm starting my own channel on YouTube called The Dapper Dork. It's an amalgamation of humor, fashion, and tech. Love you guys. Well, thank you. And good luck with that. It's an adventure. It's a lot of fun. Very much appreciated.
Yes. I'm already taking a look right now. So, what else do we got? Well, speaking of Nintendo Switches, and how come we didn't get a new one? What is the company's name again? Because my gosh,
Ein.
Is it Ein?
Ein. Yeah.
Okay, because from the last one, I thought this might have been a typo, and it's the same company. They just forgot to.
Well, there were two stories about Aya Neo, and there's one about Ein. The other story was that Aya Neo is also introducing the Air in kind of the same form factor that the Aya Neo Next is in, with dual USB-Cs on it. So we've got one on top, one on bottom, a little bit grippier body. Missing some of the higher end features like the Hall effect joysticks and so on and so forth. But it does include a micro SD slot where the Aya Neo Next did not. But this is going to be a $549 handheld, and it will include an OLED display. So
So it's about the same price as the Switch OLED.
Right. This one will be running a 1080p, which may be a bit ambitious for the graphical horsepower that's inside of there. We'll still have Radeon Vega-based graphics, so probably the similar 5800 or 5825U that we saw in the Aya Neo Next. Possibly even a 4000 series APU. But, 5560. Okay. So yeah, 5560. Vega 7, toss a coin. Between the 7 and the 8, there's not a lot of difference there. But yeah, 1080p display.
Yeah, so, up to 2 terabytes of storage if need be.
Yep.
And this is there's multiple models of it, but you know what I do like is, like you were saying, they are coming out with, they're just going for it, and here's all these different models. We are going to be a leading competitor in the handheld device, computer device.
Right.
I like it because you now have your price point options, and just like gaming laptops, pre-built gaming systems, they're trying to be an all-stop, one-stop shopping location.
Yep. And I will say everyone wins at this, because in competition, everyone wins. Or when there's competition in business, the consumer is who wins. Because it drives up innovation and it drives down prices, so businesses can compete for your business. And where GPD, which you can kind of say is the original x86 handheld gaming platform, they pioneered a couple of things. They also got a number of things wrong with clamshell designs and ergonomics and things like that. But they proved that there could be a market for that. I wouldn't say that the GPD Win line of handhelds, the 1 or the 2, were, blockbuster successes, but it proved that there was enough of a market for them to exist. The Steam Deck kind of took that or I guess Aya Neo, more appropriately, in 2020 said, you know what, we kind of see what they're putting down. Let's see if we can, enter that market, maybe with AMD and some Vega-based graphics, and we'll see what happens. Give it a little bit of a bump instead of just using Intel integrated. And that worked out well for Aya Neo. And they got a couple of things wrong, although they got a lot of things right too. The Steam Deck, when that was announced, at the price point that it was, at, what is it, $399 for the entry-level model. $399. It proved that the market existed. They just hadn't hit the right price point yet. There's always been the enthusiast market, but now there's a low-end market. And there's also now everything in between. So with Steam Deck bringing that barrier of entry all the way down to $400 and forcing companies to get a little bit creative and a little bit competitive on the features that they're putting in their handhelds and the price points that they're selling them at. All of a sudden, we have announced 2 x86 handhelds, one for $289, one for $299. We've got mid-range handhelds announced in the $550 range, which we've never really seen before. The Steam Deck proved that this market does exist, and there are already companies there ready to take advantage of those form factors, with a pretty good track record of putting together some quality hardware. So definitely some exciting times.
Speaking of other companies, we have Ayn.
Yes.
Is diving right into with everyone else, just like you said.
Yep.
They're going for it. My mouse just died.
Yeah, Ayn is a company that really is a brand new company. They teased on social media for almost, probably about 9 months that they had a $199 handheld coming to market that would blow people's minds. That ended up being the Ayn Odin line of handhelds. And they actually ended up selling it for $179. Now, I will say, I finally got my Indiegogo contribution from Ayn. I got both an Ayn Odin Pro and an Ayn Odin Lite. The Lite was $179. I think the Pro ran me about $250. So far, thoroughly impressed with that handheld. Now, that's an ARM-based handheld. It can run Windows. It cannot run SteamOS. But they definitely have their hardware together, their ergonomics together. Like, they're already ready to hit the ground running. And Ein recently announced that at $299, they will be entering the low-end handheld market for Windows and or SteamOS. Starting at $299, they're going to offer some Alder Lake U CPU options with Intel Xe graphics. And then starting at $499, they will have some options with Ryzen 5 6600U and RDNA 2. Again, competition breeds innovation, and in the end, the consumer wins.
No, the Ryzen 7, I mean, that's great. 8 cores, 16 threads, 4.75 boost if need be.
Right.
You're talking that's your higher end one, but still, you're still under $800.
Right.
Again, this goes back to, I think if you were to buy a gaming PC or like you were saying, do you spend the $1,200 on a gaming PC, $700 on this, and a $300, $100 Windows, a tablet of some kind?
Right.
So I don't know. I think these devices are definitely proving to have a market. Like you said, the SteamOS is going to bring it. I think after the price point and hardware adjustment, I think it's going to be compatibility of what else can you do with it? How can we have that niche, that other thing that makes it you need this device more than all of the other ones? And I think, honestly, it goes back to the Windows device. If it is ARM based, that the M1 killer, the Volterra. Yeah. If that proves something, maybe the next set of portable devices that might go with ARM might be able to do a Windows device.
Totally. Like I said, we've seen the amount of performance that Apple is cramming into the M1 at 35 watts. What if you had a 20 watt package that had similar compatibility and specs, and maybe you slant it more towards graphical horsepower? Yeah. And Snapdragon's got some good GPUs in them. They've got some pretty decent hardware. The iNode Pro is using a Snapdragon 845, a 3-year-old mobile phone flagship CPU. And you know what? It freaking rocks. It plays GameCube games at 720p like butter. It's amazing.
I mean, how many of those Snapdragons do people convert into emulators now? I'm just like, this is my new. Instead of buying a Pi, they're like, I'll just keep my old phone, and I'm going to turn this into my emulating device system because it has a lot of power.
Right.
So yeah, they're decent. You see, the Snapdragon CPUs are good CPUs. There were some bad ones.
Well, of course,
but that's always So. How was your IPA? You finished it?
Just about done. I'm right about where you're at with it.
I just finished mine. Right at the 9 o'clock mark, too.
Perfect. Look at us. Like we're on schedule or something.
It's weird. Yeah, so you want to go or you want me to go?
Go ahead and go.
All right. My second one will be a sour artisanal ale, Warhead's Extreme Sour Orange Pineapple Ale. Oh, look, I can even just read the back. It's got a double-sided label. So these are a themed with combination with Warhead candy. So I do love a good sour. I think this is going to be a kettle sour. But, that's kind of pinkish hue.
Oh, wow. That's a look.
It is a look. Definitely looks like candy. So, face up candy.
It looks like a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
It does, but it's supposed to be orange pineapple.
Yeah. I don't trust it.
It smells like soapy candy. I don't trust that smell. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of disappointing. Oh well. On if this was ice cold and it was like 100 degrees, Sure, that's fine. It's lacking in flavor. It's not very. It tastes. You know those cheap sour candies you get? That's the off-brand of a good sour candy. Like it's sour, and you eat it. It's like it's mostly sugar.
Yeah,
that's kind of what this tastes like.
Yeah, it's the Walmart brand Sour Patch Kids.
Yes, yes, exactly. You're like, I mean, it looks pretty. I'll give it that. High marks for color and look.
As you know, that's everything in a beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could say your expectations maybe are a little hazy. For Matchless Brewing, I have the Hazy Expectations Hazy IPA. This one is clocking in at 6.7. And I looked it up beforehand, gets a 3.89 on Untapped. And I'm going to commit a sin and just use the same glass.
That's what I did too, because I was like, I'm not going to get up.
It's an IPA. It's another IPA.
Well, I went from IPA to sour. So
yeah.
That's an even worse sin.
At least I'm in the same family, right? Like, for the show, if I'm in the same family, I'm not going to wash the glass.
It's fine.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. Speaking of ARM processors going where they don't belong, Amazon has been doing this for a couple of years now. Amazon recently announced they are now producing the Graviton 3 CPU, which is their proprietary, make it for themselves to use only, CPU solution based on ARM. It has a very interesting design. It is using 7 chiplets, has 64 cores, and triple socket motherboards. So in theory, you could put, what is that, 172? No, 192. 192 cores onto a single motherboard. The really crazy thing, though, is when you dive down into the layout of this, you will notice that each of these chiplets on the side is actually DDR5 memory controllers, and then the 2 on the bottom are the PCI Express bus. So each of these has 8 channels of DDR5 memory support, and I think it was 128 PCI Express 4 lanes. Trying to remember where I saw that at.
And this is ARM based?
And this is all ARM based, right? Okay. So these are a 25% uplift on their Graviton 2 CPUs, which they debuted back in 2020. And so far, customers have been really liking them in AWS instances. You can actually spin up a Graviton instance right now in AWS if you want to. So go get yourself some ARM on the data center. Or rent some ARM from the data center.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some AWS stuff too. It's actually pretty good. So, I don't like it, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, well, I gotta use Amazon, I guess. So.
Yep. We all have to venture into the dark side every once in a while.
Yeah, I know. So, whatever. I don't do it for my own personal needs. It's more of a work thing. Yeah. I will say, though, even the design, I kind of left the design because the design even... I actually thought it looked like a cubed version of an Android bot.
Right. It looks like a little person.
Yeah, it looks like a little person, like a little robot. I was like, that's an interesting design. Was that on purpose? What's going on here? And yeah, I was like, usually I just don't see that on a lot of processors. So I don't know. That was my first take off it. It was like, oh, are they doing something cheeky with it? Are they like being playful with it? Are they going to call it like the robot? What are they doing here? Nope. It's just the way they did it. What's everyone saying in the chat?
Talking about vGPU solutions.
Yeah. Kind of ignored the chat for a bit. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Last story for the night, and then it's gonna be a free for all. Dearly beloved.
There you go. That's a good
we are gathered. We are gathered here today in the eyes of. I got nothing. In the name of the yeast, the malt, and the holy water.
I was gonna say where's Revs? Oh, was it Funk?
It was Skull.
It was
Skull. That did that one. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that had me going.
Yeah. Gosh, let me get it right. Hold on. Let me scroll up. In the name of the grain, the hop, and the holy yeast. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was great.
That's my kind of Trinity right there. Apparently, Miller High Life is helping people become licensed officiants for weddings. John, can you fill us in?
Yes, Miller High
What
Life
the hell?
Miller High Life is wanting to help you with your marriage by letting you become a wedding officiator. And they will help you by going to their website, and they will take the cost becoming a minister just by going to their website. And I know this because I myself am now an ordained Miller Lite officiant. The Church of Miller Lights.
Yes.
Hops and brews. So I actually did do this, so it's not just the hops and brews. I did do it my actual name. I will put it next to my Lord titleship.
Oh,
I will now henceforth be called on the chat Lord Minister Hops and Brews. Anything else will be blasphemy. And I will.
What can I say other than it's good to be the king?
So, but if you are wanting your wedding to be done by Hops and Brews, you can come to Oregon, and I am licensed to officiate your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do it again for free, as long as it's an open bar. But yes, you can go to Miller High Life.
Do you get an entourage when you're the minister?
You just get a free 12-pack. But yeah, you can.
It's not the high life I was looking for.
If you go to their website, you can go hitchedbyhighlife.com. Enter, you must be 21 and over. And it is going till June, I think it was like the 16th or 18th. Now, they are only doing a limited amount of licenses per day. So if you do not get it in, try the next day. And then you can also get go for a gift wedding basket. They are also giving you scripts that are beer themed too, if you need a script to go for the wedding ceremony. So check that out.
I can only imagine how good that is.
It is a good laugh anyways, because you want to live that high life, and your vows will be nothing but bubbly love. Mm-hmm. It is the champagne of beers, by the way. So who needs champagne? It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hang on. Wedding gifts for couples. Where's it? It was. Let's see. Oh, they even have gifts you can buy couples. So Miller Lite koozies, Miller Lite champagne. You can buy Miller High Life string cans to put on the back of the car.
Oh gosh,
it's great. It's. I like this. Shop for your wedding day look. You can have a Miller High Life tuxedo and ties. This is good.
Only if it comes with a top hat. It had better come with a top hat.
No. Yeah,
Lord Minister John can walk down the aisle in nothing less.
I need a cane, a top. I hope it comes with like a beer cart too that I can drive up in.
Oh, I hope so.
Like the Pope of beers. Just sit there and wave. Bless you. Bless you. Oh, what is it? I went to a barbecue this past weekend. It was my niece's graduation from high school.
Uh-huh.
And my sister-in-law's mom. She had a beer, and she had a Coors Light, okay? but she doesn't drink beer, or at least much. But they didn't have a bottle opener. My brother didn't have a bottle opener out, and she walked up to me and said, "Well, here, John, I know you probably have a bottle opener." And I just looked at it. I was like, "It's Coors Light." There you go. It's a twist off. It's like it's that cheap. It's fun. That was one of those. It's just humorous to be in it. But yeah, so that is the news of the day. So if there's something we missed, something you want to talk about, let us know in the chat below. Again, if you want to be married by me, remarried too, I'll do those too. If you want to renew your vows, come to Oregon, buy me a couple drinks, and get that happen. Or you know what? I'll tell you what. Fly me out, pay for the ticket. That's all I ask, and stay. That's all I ask. That's it. Very simple. But let us know in the chat below. Otherwise, you're probably going to hear us rant and rave about something Star Trek.
I'm working on getting myself banned from chat. So.
Mods, go ahead and just start kicking those out.
Yeah, hide this user from channel.
It's gonna be a Chip and Dale situation going
on. Who am I in that situation? I feel like I'd be Swayze. you be Farley.
Okay, that's fine.
That was fun. All right. I will admit I have only seen the first episode of Strange New Worlds.
Okay, well the last one wasn't the greatest. It wasn't horrible, but it was. I mean, nothing bad. Actually, there is the Gorn appear, but they don't appear. But there is some interesting aspects of space battle, which I really liked. So I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I really liked. They are definitely doing something in this series that is different than all the other series. The closest would be DS9 with the Defiant, because the Defiant was a much more maneuverable thing. But essentially, they're taking the Enterprise.
They can move down.
They can
up
and sideways, and yeah. And they're doing some maneuvers with this thing. And they're even going 90 degrees.
They're not just listening lazily to the left?
No, yeah. The maneuver is not... no, so that idea is kind of fun. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for a ship that large, but it's still fun.
No.
They don't really explain how gravity and things don't just fall over. Especially when they're like, bring the ship to 90 degrees.
Okay, we're getting a number of people saying they don't want any spoilers for Star Trek.
Okay. Can
we talk about the first episode? Because that's as far as I wanted to go.
Okay, we could. I like the first episode.
That's been almost 4 weeks now. Like episode 4 comes out tomorrow. So I feel like episode 1 is fair game. And again, that's as far as I'm at. So. Tech Geek sends over $5. I'm far from Oregon, but also an ordained minister. Cheers to Jeff and Lord Minister Hops and Brews.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
also with you. Harley says $10. Open bar, but only Miller products.
I mean, it's still got alcohol, so I'll be fine. It's gonna be a lot. It's a slower pace. It's like cruising down, Highway 99. You take it at a slower pace.
Yeah,
you're still gonna get there.
Cruising down the 101, as Californians would say.
Or what? Yeah, Oregon.
Well, in Oregon, it's I-5. It's not the 5. It's I-5. It's not the 405. It's 405.
No, I said 99.
Right. In California, their equivalent would we still have Highway 101, which we call Highway 101. In California, it's the 101, which is the coast highway, and then and then 99 is the inland highway. So
99.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, no the before it, morons.
filberts and hazelnuts.
They're filberts.
Still filberts.
Yeah. Marionberries.
Yeah. Blackberries, whatever. Marionberries. But yeah, no. So episode 1, we could talk a little bit. We could talk episode 1 because it takes place essentially a few months after Discovery season 2.
Yeah.
Which
I've never seen and I didn't need to see.
Yeah, that was there was only like 2 good episodes and they made it episodic. Yeah. And I was like, that's why it was good. I will say this is not a spoiler, but I do super enjoy the episodic aspect of this show. So if that kind of annoyed you about Picard or Discovery, this goes back to that storytelling. So I do like that. Right. This one I still really like.
I don't have to think as hard.
There's that. Well, also it's every episode gets to kind of redeem itself. It's like I didn't like that aspect about that character. The next one they'll change it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that works. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, he acted dumb in this episode. Well, that story doesn't continue on.
But canonically, he's now dumb.
Yeah, but he has now a chance to redeem himself in a totally new way.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not like now 5 minutes later. Now it's a week later. A month later.
Yeah.
But
enough time has passed for them to grieve and then get over it. Let's say 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, they just saw their best friend die and got shot in front of them. 2 months later, they're fine.
Right.
They're fighting the Dominion and going back and forth from blowing people up and hundreds of thousands of people dying. And then the next one, there's the holodeck malfunctions and they're playing baseball.
Yep.
It's totally fine. It's fun.
I forget what that's even from. Some amount of time has passed. Not enough where they've forgotten and completely gotten over the grieving process, but enough that they're laughing again. Let's say 2 months.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I think it starts off and it goes into the whole character of the 3 major characters we saw in Discovery, which is Captain Pike, Spock, and their number 2. I forget what the female number 2 is, the first officer.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it goes into the whole idea of the Starfleet goes to Captain Pike's ranch and he is recovering. I like that whole scene actually. He's grown a beard out, so it shows that time has passed. He looks really rugged. He's kind of got the whole Captain Kirk horseback ranch style lifestyle that we saw.
You know what building that was, right?
Wasn't that in the Nexus?
Yeah, that was Kirk's homestead from the Nexus.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So I like that. I like that they're still paying attention in that
homage.
Way.
Yeah,
an homage. He did the whole horseback thing that is in there. And
where do Starfleet captains retire? Apparently somewhere in Montana.
Yeah, right? In the snow. It's like no technology, nothing except to make breakfast. But yeah, he goes horseback running in the snow, and we see this the shuttle ship, fly down and meet him. And what I really liked is the attention to detail in how they made the old style shuttle crafts boxy. But still, it fits in a futuristic timeline.
It's fresh. It doesn't look like 1960s.
Yeah.
It doesn't look 3 generations newer than anything we had on TNG. You can see some iterative designs, and I love that type of design work. That's one of the main reasons that I'm not one who gets turned off immediately, they just ruined everything about this thing that I arbitrarily love. But one of the things I hated about Discovery was everything about it seems like it's newer than Next Generation DS9 Voyager. The technology that they talk about, the abilities that supposedly they have, we'll just go through time all willy-nilly. And we didn't have any of that. And our spaceships certainly didn't spin around and do all these weird things. Nor do I see how you would have gotten to there and then gone backwards in design and gotten the Enterprise D. Yet supposedly it took place 80 years before. So it's hard to get past that wall of your own fourth wall.
I know. That was some of the horrible. There was some bad decision making in Discovery. What I do, I think Discovery takes place like 15 years prior to. I think it takes place like 25 years before Kirk.
Yeah.
But the Pike, like when the Enterprise first got commissioned, it's supposed to be like 10 years before Enterprise A, whatever, not before A, before A. Yeah. No bloody A, no bloody B, just the Enterprise. And it was supposed to be the most advanced ship in the fleet, the newest one, and it still has this giant dish, reflectors dish. And where Discovery, it's a laser, very similar to Next Gen.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I agree. It's too much, and they have holograms popping everywhere and 3D designs. It's like touchscreen interface.
It took from the 29th century for us to get a mobile emitter for the Doctor. Like that was tech that didn't exist on Voyager until they decided the Doctor needed a better character. So let's give him a mobile emitter.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't like that aspect. What I do like is if you're paying attention in episode, in Strange New World, you'll see the dashboards and everything have the buttons, the manual on-off, analog switches. Mm-hmm. The screens are the radars. It's still like old school looking radar. They kind of update the screen, but it still looks like that. The tricorder, the phasers still look like the old school. Again, that slightly modern-esque. We upgraded the way it looked with better looking material. We're able to do detailed work on this now because it's shot in 4K. So
you don't want to see the original props in 4K.
No, exactly. But it all looks great. I mean, I think they do. I think someone even stated, I saw a screenshot of, they even got the holes on the warp nacelles, the exact same number and placement as the pilot episode. Yeah. So they did pay attention. Yeah. So I do like that. It goes into Pike has to go and rescue his the number one, his first officer, because she's on a mission during this time, and they lost contact with her, and because it was a first contact mission. So he goes and grabs Spock in the middle of his not ponfar but wedding ceremony.
Yeah. Are you naked? No, but he was about to be.
Yeah. So this is Spock about to be married, or it was his honeymoon, I guess you'd say.
That was so funny.
Yeah. That's another thing. There's back to like classical Trek humor of, I like the chemistry of Captain Pike. Yeah. And Spock. It kind of works. It's the actor who plays Spock. I don't really look at him as Spock, as just it's a Vulcan. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I was like, okay, it's a Vulcan, and they're doing their best Spock impersonation, but it's still just it's a Vulcan. But it works. Yeah. It's fine with me. I got no problem with it. I like Captain Pike as a character. So
yeah, let's talk about the main story that went down. So just real quick, 30-second version. Pike is sent to investigate the disappearance of his first officer because she was on a first contact mission for a society that had discovered warp technology. Starfleet detected a warp signature around the planet. They decided to make first contact because that's the what do they call it in that one? General Order 1. General Order 1, you cannot interfere with a society before they achieve warp. So they detected a warp signature and they were captured. The reason they got the warp signature was Discovery was gallivanting around in past, future, present, whatever. And apparently they were in full view of the planets and the telescopes that were in that region. And they divulged enough technology to start developing warp, but turn it into a weapon instead of a vehicle of travel, because they are not that dissimilar from 20th century Earth, where we want to kill each other. So Pike goes down to explain this, explains Earth's history, and says, you have two choices. You can kill each other, and from the look of it, if we turn around, you're going to. Or you can join our Federation and explore the universe. And that's kind of the proposition he gives them. And as we fade to black, it shows their people reading about the Enterprise and doing warp research and things like that. So unifying the planet the way that the United Federation of Planets is supposed to do. Very cool stuff. I can't believe they made Star Trek political. It's always been political. If you didn't think it was political, you weren't paying attention at the time. It aired right after the nightly news. My entire childhood. And let me tell you, there were some poignant moments between Tom Brokaw and Picard and Sisko. So, yeah, it deals with some issues of the day. It deals with us being at each other's throats. It deals with political discourse and dissonance and, violent insurrections and everything else. Incidentally enough, there's now file footage of said violent insurrection. They didn't mention a time, but it's canon. It happened here. It happened in their universe too. But I liked the overall theme, and I liked the way they went about it. I thought it was a great overall story. It introduced the characters that were already kind of introduced in Discovery very, very well. We knew Pike already from Discovery. We knew Spock, and we knew the first officer. I'm drawing a blank on her name. I apologize. But we knew those people. They introduced some new characters who I thought were brilliant in some very short performances as well.
We get introduced to Uhura, too, for the first time.
Yeah, we see Cadet Uhura.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And at the very end, someone asks Pike, so what do we do now? We explore. Strange new worlds. Seek out new civilizations. And Uhura from the side panel goes, cool.
Yeah. You know what I also really liked about this one, too? I liked the theme song. I enjoyed it. It kind of went back to more of the adventurous style theme song. And the interesting thing was the graphics and everything kind of reminded me. I think they overdid it on the graphics because it kind of came off very cartoony. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the scenes seem to almost mimic Voyager, DS9, and TNG. Of like, they go through some, or they fly over through some rings and some ice caps of a meteor. And warp away.
Star Trek has almost always been about discovery, and people who say that, well, how can you discover things if you're on a space station, didn't watch DS9 because they traveled more distance than any other.
Well, I mean, they warped, or they teleported distance.
They were still exploring. They were their primary job was to maintain peace on Bajor, but they went through the wormhole quite regularly and were not on their own terms. And I mean,
as far as that was great. It was a great way to, like, they don't have to travel far to be far away.
Correct. But there was with Discovery, and you could even throw Picard into this mix. There was that lack of true exploration. We're only going places that we already know or that we've already seen before. And we're dealing with internal strife rather than something new. And the new is what's interesting. And I think episode 1 knocked it out of the park going, you know what? We're going to find a species that we haven't introduced before. They're in the Federation of Planets. You might not have heard of them, and it really doesn't matter if you have or not. But here is their history, and it mirrors ours quite a bit. And this is why we have the Prime Directive, and why we have the founding principles of the Federation that we do. It did a lot for explaining why Star Trek canon is the way it is, and the history that they've kind of inherently been telling for, 60 years now, in a very palatable bite-sized chunk. I thought it was great.
I liked it.
Anyway, we can talk about Star Trek until we're blue in the face, and we probably will, unless one of us derails it, and I'm going to derail it. Let's open it up to Q&A. There's been a lot of chatter about VGPU. There's been some other chat going on. Obviously, there's some Star Trek chat going on. If you have questions on opinions on Star Trek, I'm not going to stop you.
And also, if there is a conversation you do want to enjoy or keep continuing, you can always join the Discord. And there is a super secret after show after this that we get to talk about all the stuff that might have been in chat. You might have wanted to talk about. Maybe you just have some personal issue that we can work out with computers or tech with everyone else. And it's one of the best communities you could do. And it's only a minimum of $1 a month. And it's right after Talking Heads, and it goes on for about another 2 hours, sometimes even longer. But you got to be a member of the Discord to do that. Yeah. So usually some of the other just people on Discord will go on after both of us leave. Yep. So
yeah, but we're on there all week long. Like, you want to chat with us? Add us. We're in there. But yeah, we do get on video chat every single Wednesday night after the show. There's usually at least one of us there, if not all of us there. You want to ask us a question face to face? That's the place to do it. You want to ping me a personal question? Join the Discord at Craft Computing. I'll answer. It's a good time.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Q&A.
The show belongs to you at this point. What do you guys want to talk about? First up, James Mendel. Question: if you had like 10 Dell R710s, what would you do with them? It depends on what I wanted to learn from them. There's a lot of misconstruing in the community. What does a home lab mean? I view running your own servers and services to better your own personal life different from home lab, which is this exists purely for me to tinker and educate myself with. I have done home labs and I have done personal servers. And there's a lot of overlap in that because not everyone can afford multiple servers or multiple environments. But if I had a bunch of R710s, so these are x58 based servers. They're 1U. I believe the 710s are 1U. R710. Let me refresh my own memory here. Oh no, they're the 2U units. That's right. So yeah, you can put up to an X5690. You can get 6 cores, 12 threads at 3.43 gigahertz. Now, they're going to scream like a banshee because they're not exactly the most efficient CPUs on the planet anymore. And how should I run a server and what environment should I use? R710s are a great thing to tinker with because there's not a lot that you can do to break them, and you can run just about anything you want on them. If it were me and I was looking at getting a job or expanding on the job that I have, maybe to potentially get a promotion or whatever else, I would seriously consider installing whatever OS my employer used, whether it's VMware or Proxmox or XCP-ng or Hyper-V or whatever else, and start tinkering with that and learn their virtualization system. Install yourself an Active Directory server and learn Active Directory. Break things and then fix things. Because that's what a home lab is for. Would I run an R710 as a personal server today? No, I would sell them to the highest bidder at like $80 a pop, and I would buy myself 1 or 2 much more efficient servers. Because, good God, those things are going to drive 180 watts at idle. Like, they are not... They're not friendly to your power bill.
You're cutting out.
Am I cutting out?
They're saying you're popping quite a bit.
Popping.
So I had Rev. And
better now. Interesting.
They said, yeah. So
my audio says I'm right where I should be. I'm peaking at about -4 dB, and I'm averaging right between -10, -8.
You sound. I didn't hear anything on my side, but I got 3 or 4 comments, and you were talking. So it's like, you're gonna make a point. I want everyone to hear it. So yeah. How much beer can an R710 hold? Well, considering it's a 2U, they're only about as thick as a can. You can fit as many cans as the server is deep. So you get more bang for your buck if they're pints. There you go.
Because there's less space between the cans. That's science.
Well, that's something that you could use with test out with 10 Dell's R710s.
Yeah.
Who is it? John J did ask, what is going to be your next big project?
Next big project. I've got a couple coming up. I just bought the newest Xeon that I've ever purchased. 384 gigs of RAM and a pair of Optane persistent memory DIMMs. To install into my Craftinator, my Storinator. So I will be doing some experimentation with Optane DIMMs versus NVMe storage versus should you buy like an IO drive or something like that, and working on some more caching, because nothing drives me more nuts than knowing that the drives that I record my cinema footage onto can easily be read at 550 megabytes per second if it's SATA, or on the couple of NVMe drives that I have, or PCI Express drives that I have, well beyond that. Like, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to write data to my server at 500 plus megabytes per second. However, it seems to top out at like 235. Man, if I could set up some NVMe cache as a write caching drive, where I could just dump the footage there and then it would permanently mount it somewhere else when it had enough room, that'd be really cool. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. I've also got, right behind me, that new guy, new to me. That is a HP Z440. So I'm up to my old tricks again with using some old Xeons in ways they were never intended for workstations, and potentially some gaming fun stuff. A lot of people didn't like the video that I just did on the gaming build, even though I said, thanks, I hate it. And the title was, I hate this. And people went, wow, I bet he had everything that he really needed to put together a solid gaming PC for $900. And no, I was pretty honest about that from the start. In fact, the first words in that video were, some compromises were still made. Like, before everything, that's what I said.
Didn't you even state that for $200-$300 more, it would be like a lot better? Well, or something along that line. You're like, you could make, for about a couple $100 more, you could actually make this a bit better. Right.
At $1,100, you could make this thing amazing. And people were going, well, why did you spend $120 on a power supply? Have you priced power supplies? Occasionally, I'll see one under $100. But I don't think the $15 ad to go from a 600 non-modular to a 650 full modular was really that much of a deal breaker, especially considering the next tier graphics card was $150 away. Like, it wasn't like it was that close. Why'd you go with the 5600X instead of the 5600? It has the same performance, and it's $50 less. Actually, it was $15 less. The 5600X was only $199. Why'd you go with an A520 instead of B550? Longer sending footage to YouTube.
I wonder if that's...
There we go. We're back up.
Audio.
We're back up. Okay.
Okay.
That was a weird drop. Yeah, all of a sudden OBS disconnected and then reconnected.
Well, maybe maybe that'll fix the sound issue.
Who knows? But we're back up.
John J says the audio's fine now.
Okay. There's a difference between knowing and knowing. Right? Every review for the RX 6500 XT said it was a crap graphics card and you should stay away from it at all costs. At the same time, it's a graphics card for $199. It's in stock everywhere. You know what? I've always tested things a little bit differently than everyone else. I test things at the level that I expect them to perform. I don't test them at, I'm not going to game at 1080p ultra settings and expect 144 hertz out of a $200 graphics card. That's not what I expect. But I do expect to be able to play games at 60 FPS at some reasonable settings. And that $200 graphics card didn't live up. I don't know that until I test it, which is why I bought it and tested it and showed you all. And yeah, there were a bunch of people who were really pissed off about that build who, they must have just gone 6500 XT and a 5600X. You're an idiot. It's it's not that different from a lot of builds that I've done in the past. It's just the market sucks right now, and I apologize. Bought my RX 570 for $99 3 years ago, and you know what? You can pay $99 and get that same RX 570 today, and it's still a better value than the $199 5600 or 6500 XT.
Yeah, but you bought a RX 570 3 years ago for $100, Jeff.
Right?
Jeez, come on.
Right.
3 years ago.
Yeah. Let's see.
John J wants to know if you're still loving your vintage gaming rig.
Yes, love my vintage gaming rig. In fact, I've got one or two more videos coming out on my vintage gaming rig. So the vintage gaming rig that you all saw is not the final product. I ended up with... I was trying to keep it as authentic as possible, as late 90s as possible, by limiting myself to Windows Millennium or Windows 98 and trying to play games only within that generation. What I found was driver support, reliability, compatibility, etc. Even as good as I got on that system, it still left me wanting a couple of things. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up buying an ITX motherboard with a B61, Q61 chipset, Intel 61 series chipset of some kind. It was an Asus board, but it's Sandy Bridge. So I put an i7 2600 into it, 4 cores, 8 threads, installed Windows XP. I've still got the 1 terabyte SATA SSD installed into it. The graphics card, I decided to abandon... All hope who enter here. No. Decided to abandon trying to stick with a PCI graphics card and trying to be period correct and just went, what's the best low power graphics card that was available for Windows XP? Well, as it turns out, it's the NVIDIA GT740. Has Windows XP drivers. And holy crap, is it freaking fast. And not only is it freaking fast, I got the most bizarre version of the GT740 that really shouldn't exist, and that's an EVGA for the win card. It's an EVGA GT740 FTW. And it's freaking amazing, and I love it. Because anything that I want to play at any resolution from any time period prior to 2008, it plays it. And because it's Windows XP, and it's still 32-bit, and it's still got 2 gigs of RAM, it doesn't freak out about a lot of the Windows 98 compatibility issues like I thought it might. So almost everything that should have been gameable from Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows Millennium was still gameable on Windows XP. But now all of a sudden I've got 1995 through 2008 of playability instead of 2001 of playability. And a much more modern system, much more modern components, and I'm better off for it.
So Guzman had a budget question for home network. He asked 2.5G or 10G for home network.
Ooh, that's a great question. 2.5G is coming way down in price. Now, when I say way down in price, I mean it's no longer the same price as 10G. 2.5G is kind of this weird standard that has really had a hard time dropping in price because it hasn't seen a lot of adoption, but it's not going to get cheaper until there's a lot of adoption. Gigabit's been the standard, and for all intents and purposes, gigabit has been fine for many, many years. I mean, I started feeling pinched over 5 years ago on local network traffic at 1 gigabit, deploying installations to thousands of client PCs across a network, or even just transferring files over my own LAN, because all of a sudden I'm dealing with, 80, 90, 100 gigabyte file transfers, and it's like, I don't want to wait 20 minutes. I got stuff to do. 2.5 gig is definitely welcome. I'm still waiting for 2.5 gig to become ubiquitous as far as pricing goes compared to gigabit. At the moment, if you're talking about home lab, 10 gig is actually still more affordable than 2.5. The reason I say that is you can get used 10 gig gear, PCI Express cards, and direct attach copper, DAC cables, for pennies compared to, or not pennies, but like 30% the cost of 2.5 gig cards, because 2.5 gig is a fairly modern standard and is RJ45 compliant instead of being GBIC and SFP Plus compliant. SFP Plus has been around a lot longer, which means there's a lot of gear that's going out of style. So if you have a home lab of servers, like I have a rack of servers, I run a 10 gig switch out there. And the reason I do that is because it was freaking cheap. It was $345 for the switch. It's a 24-port switch, handles 10 gig at line rate for layer 2 traffic. And the cards for the computers are $30 a piece, or they come included on the server motherboards. You can also convert that over to fiber, run it around your house. Length is not a problem, for $15 per end on fiber modules for LC, multi-mode, or single-mode fiber. Desktop cards are $30 to $100 a piece, depending on what you want to spend. Local, there's the, what was that? The MikroTik 305, or the little 5-port MikroTik switch that does desktop traffic for $100. Like, $100 is what a 2.5 gig switch will cost you. So 2.5 is still working on getting cheaper. It's coming. It's happening. But 10 gig is still great. And honestly, if you have just a little bit more, you want to put just a little bit more time and effort into it, 10 gig is probably worth it still today over 2.5.
So there was one I missed. It was a question. Have you done any videos on PXE boot servers? PXE
boot servers. I did do an entire tutorial on Windows deployment services. That video, since Windows 11 came out, is kind of out of date, but Microsoft still hasn't updated their documentation for how they expect you to deploy Windows boxes in Windows 11 environments. My tutorials still apply for Windows 11. However, you will have to do your PXE boot off of a Windows 10 boot.wim file instead of a Windows 11 boot.wim, because it says, sorry, this isn't supported anymore if you use the Windows 11 boot.wim. But yes, I've done videos on PXE servers, on customizing client images, on image capturing, image deployment, all kinds of stuff. So yes, it's there. It's actually the longest non-Talking Heads video on my channel. It's like 47 minutes or something like that. So buckle up.
There was another quick one. We've talked about this before. I just did a quick answer, and I think you could probably do another one too. How to approach interviews and salary.
Ooh. Be completely honest and be willing to have some, for lack of better terms, balls. Don't be offended by that. It's a turn of phrase, but
I just said know what you're worth.
Know your worth. I preach that all the time. Know your worth. Know the worth of those around you too. no, I mean, going into a job interview and knowing what the expected pay for that position is more power than you can imagine. I will say, I worked for my previous employer for a number of years and was given the director position, or was offered the director position, probably 7 years into my tenure. The first job offer that I received, I passed back across the table and said, no, I will go somewhere else because we're too far apart. So basically I was a network administrator, tier 3 help desk, department lead, getting the director position. More beer. Oh, nice. And I was making X amount of money, plus I was making 20% extra in overtime. The salary that they gave me was like 22% above my base pay. So it was like, yeah, it's a significant bump if I wasn't already working 60 hours a week. I'm literally going to be making less with more responsibilities if I take this job. So no. And they said, well, if you don't accept the job, your current position is going to be dissolved. And I said, I'll go somewhere else then. I'm not accepting that offer. They came back with a much more palatable offer. So be willing to say, no, I won't work for that. Glassdoor for salary info. That's a great place to start. And salary is very regional because there's different costs of living wherever you live. I'll be perfectly honest. When we bought our house here, we were looking literally anywhere for a house. Like I got on Zillow and I drew the map around the US and I said, sort from low. Because I was looking at eventually going full-time with craft computing, and I went, if we can get a house for literally the equity that we have in our current house and walk into there debt-free, I can get a job for 6 months and then I can just go full-time on craft computing and I'll be good to go. But that's because Tennessee has a much lower cost of living than Oregon does. You know, so does Kansas, so does like Nevada. Like we looked so many different places for houses. I viewed so many different properties online and talked to my real estate agent about so many different things. We finally settled on a house that was fairly local, still, 40 minutes from where I lived before, but in the same state. But yeah, check on Glassdoor. Look at what those in the same position and experience level in the area around you are making, because that's what you should be making. And don't be afraid to ask for it. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yep. You can, worst case scenario, they say no, and then you can always go back down.
When you walk into an interview, you owe them nothing.
Yep.
You owe them nothing. You don't have to be a good little grunt and accept whatever their pay is. You can say, for an entry-level position, yeah, sure, they probably own you. But if you have any skill, and they're hiring for that skill, you can say, well, my skill costs this much.
The difference
Pay
is
it or don't.
Someone, the other issue too is, like, say for my job, because I came into a similar situation, was I was contracted out there, but I was contracted for multiple years, and I already knew the culture of that company, and that weighed a lot.
Yeah.
If you are within the company and been working, you already understand the culture, and I personally think that's value in itself. You know how things work. You know how to work around the people that are around you. If they go and ask for someone else, we'll just hire someone new. It's going to take them probably a year plus to be like, how is this system set up? Who is this? Who's in charge here? What's going on? How is this working?
Access 95.
Yeah, that's what I had to deal with. Yeah, exactly. And so that's a premium quality. That's experience. That's part of the job, Mm-hmm. So there's always that too. There was another one. I think I'm trying to understand this question because it's been split up. But anyways, I have Dustin was asking about a Linux-based image deployment.
I have not dove into that, mainly because I never really got into that. it's something I will probably look at. Probably within the next year, but I can't make any promises like, oh yeah, that's on my list in the next 2 months. Linux image deployment has been on my cliff notes of craft computing, my ideas list for a year or two. But it's not really called for ever. And so even when doing servers, we would always just deploy the server for ISO, because even if you have 100 servers, you're deploying them one per month. And it really doesn't make sense to create an entire image and roll up all of your updates just so you can do an apt-get update and apt-get upgrade after you reboot the server for the first time anyway. Like, you're going to get the same result. As far as client desktops go, yeah, there's a little bit more to it than that. There's some customizations that you can make. There's app rollup packages that you can include, but there's so much less of a demand for that versus a full customized Windows layout. That it's just something that's never, I won't say it's never interested me, but it's never actually even been a need. Like, ever. So, yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. What I'm seeing here for questions.
Yeah. What else we got? We got probably 5-10 minutes left.
We got 5-10 more minutes. So if anyone's got any 1 or 2 more questions, we can easily take them. And again, too, if for some reason you accidentally missed, make sure to join the Discord. Again, it's not even the super secret after show party. This type of questions can be answered, and there's so much more information and help in the Discord. It is not just a single room chat. It's a multiple layer chat expanding so many subjects, and one of them, multiple are tech. There's a trade, there's learning how to do new stuff, there's food, there's
I was showing off my new truck in our car chat the other day, like
so we have people giving tutorials even right now in the chat, in the after shows. We got some tutorials and stuff going on. It's awesome. So if there are these type of questions you have, I know people are saying, oh, I got a budgeting thing. It's $1 a month, minimum. Can always do more, but do that. You get access to not just us, but the rest of the community. And the rest of the community are people like us and like you. We are all in this industry. We, one form or another, we like tech, and we like a broad spectrum of other things too. And we respect all of that. And we come in, we get to talk about it all. That's it. So
what would you recommend as the best mini bar set? Ooh.
Now, this is a video you've always wanted to do. It has
been. Audio back to being flaky, which is really weird. I have no idea what's going on tonight, because OBS is saying, like, except for the one, 10-second dropout, OBS is saying green across the board. I'm going to blame YouTube. And I'm at the right bitrate. So, I have no idea. Best entry-level mini bar set. There's a number of different ways you can go with that. You can buy some pre-made bar set kits. Oftentimes I find they're not really the tools that you would want. And maybe I should update an Amazon list and put that in, because I have some preferences that I have for shakers, strainers, bar spoons, etc. The basic tools of the trade for creating cocktails. I definitely prefer a Boston shaker, and I prefer a full metal tin versus a Boston shaker and a glass, or a Collins shaker. A Collins shaker is the one that you usually see, which is the 3-piece unit with the cylinder on the bottom, and then it's got the cap with the strainer built in, and then the little cap on top of that. That's a Collins shaker. I like a Boston shaker. It's the 2-piece one that the bartender slaps together and then shakes and then cracks with his hand again. it's a more stable strainer, and it's much more versatile, and it's super easy to get apart, and it's super easy to get together.
It's easier to part. Yeah,
getting apart, you might not think about it all that much, but a Collins shaker, as metal gets cold, what happens? It shrinks. As you shake up liquid, guess what happens? It aerosolizes, and so it actually builds pressure. And so you have two things working against you. You have the metal shrinking and holding that cap even tighter, and then you have pressure building within it, which also holds it tighter. So I much prefer a two-piece shaker and then an independent strainer. And I prefer two metal tins versus a metal and a glass. You can usually shake with like a pint glass. I don't like doing that. And I have specific reasons for that. But bar spoons, I like the twisty bar spoons, and I like a nice long handle to be able to, accurately stir. So yeah, maybe I should update my Craft Computing approved mini bar accessory list, or finally just freaking make the video that I've been meaning to make for like 5 years.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you got Rhett now, just on a lunch break, like,
right.
All right, let's just do this.
I seriously almost recorded a short today because we were just like, I was finishing up lunch and it's like, I got this really cool thing in front of me. Maybe I should do like a 10-second. This is really freaking cool. And I really should start doing that.
Craft Computing TikTok.
Yeah. What can you do to make a Hive Zeus more room friendly? Put a sound blanket over it. Seriously, you can do some fan swaps. The most popular one is Noctua, but it is by far the most expensive. There are actually some models of Delta fans that you can get that are 40 millimeter drop-in replacements. And the one thing you need to watch out for in the Hive Zeus is the lower RPM fan you have and the lower CFM that you have, the lower your CPU TDP needs to be. Even a 95 TDP Xeon, I had some troubles keeping under about 80 degrees Celsius in a fairly climate-controlled room. If you drop a 125 watt Xeon in there, it's no chance. You got to run those 40 mils at full blast. If you're talking about some 65 watt parts, like a 2650, you can get away with slowing the fans down and even getting some replacement fans that maybe run at 4,000 RPM instead of 10,000 RPM. There are units out there designed for lower noise. But one-use servers, it's just part of the gig. They're loud. They're going to be loud. There's a reason they're a great bang for the buck, is you have to put up with something, and in this case, it's noise. Let's see. I'm from Brazil and want to migrate out of country. Any tips? I'm an IT support analyst. I have no tips on immigration, visa, anything like that. IT support analyst, I'm sure there are jobs available. The question is whether you can get someone to sponsor you, and I'm not sure really anyone is doing that these days. Like 2019, that was totally a thing. Get sponsorship from a company to come over, get a long-term work visa, and yeah. I don't know that many companies are doing that these days because even their own workforces work from home. So unfortunately, no, I don't have any relevant advice for you. The only advice that I personally know of is a couple people who have immigrated from Europe and maintain citizenship here. I know a couple Canadians who have come down, and I know a couple U.S. citizens who have gone up to Canada. And most of those were horror stories. So, yeah, I'm not sure. But best of luck to you. Stream as smooth as butter? Sweet. 2 hours in, we finally nailed it. Let's see. One last question, and I think we'll give this a farewell. Chris says, I listen to your show every week in podcast form. Just wanted to stop by during the live show, say I love the show, and have a drink for all the podcast homies. Hi, Chris.
Cheers, yo.
Cheers. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast.
And I just finished my beer.
Perfect. Now you can open another one.
That's right. After show.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have this whiskey staring me down.
Ooh, what you got?
So I don't know. I have some rum and well, I'll talk about it later, but I bought a whiskey that was fairly expensive and I am extremely disappointed in it.
Yeah.
And it is the above $50 mark bottle. And I would have rather spent buying 5.
Name and shame. What's the whiskey?
No. You want to know?
Oh, you got to go after party? Okay. Oh, you're giving me some spoiler alerts.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
tantalizing.
No. You're gonna have to join. I want everyone to do that.
Because I've actually got a fairly inexpensive whiskey, like $25, that I'm super impressed with.
Oh no, like I got.
So maybe it's whiskey night on the after show.
It will be, but yeah. So no, I am highly disappointed in this. I think I paid about $55 for it. So highly disappointed. Tastes like burning ethanol.
I've had such high and low experiences with whiskey right around that dollar mark. I will ask you this. Is it a domestic name brand? It's an Oregon local name brand. Oh. I think I already know the one you're talking about.
Probably. So.
Something coastal range, something.
Something, yeah.
Okay. I already know the one you're talking about. They make a killer multi-year aged rye that's also been aged in the barrels that the stout aged in, the whiskey barrels.
No,
they make a great version of that, but they're just raw bourbon.
It's
not great. It's great.
Tough. It is tough to get through.
It needs that extra year, and it needs that stout to help bring it down.
Yeah, I was thinking. I got the same kit. I've totally forgot. My wife got me custom make your own whiskey, blends.
Yeah.
I might use that on it because I was thinking about using like a cheap end, but I was like, it's so bad. I might use something.
That's not a bad idea, actually, to take like what should be a really good grain bill whiskey that's maybe just a little bit young.
Yeah.
And kickstart it.
Yeah, because it's got some vanilla bean and some chocolate oak in the kit. So I was like, throw both of that in there. Theoretically, that's the stout flavor I'm looking for.
Right. Okay, we're back. Okay, right. There we are. Okay, we're back. Apparently, OBS is telling me to call it a night.
I guess so.
It's the second time that's happened where I got the full up Windows notification. OBS disconnected. OBS reconnecting now. No explanation. My internet is fine. I can do speed tests. I'll do a speed test right now. Hey, look, download is 780 megs per second out of a gig, and I guarantee my upload's gonna be whatever my upload should be minus what OBS is doing. So I'm blaming YouTube solely for the streaming problems we've had tonight, because damn it, I got my settings down. Anyway, John, anything for the good of the order before we call it a night?
No, just my standard stuff going back to normal. Going to be doing some more beer reviews. I got some special interesting, disgusting beers coming out probably next week, so enjoy that. My beer diet videos finally finished, all done with those. Thank goodness. Editing those is a pain in the butt.
Yes. I hate long-term video reviews. I've done a couple of those where it's like even videos that I film over the course of a week. I hate editing those.
I cannot stand going like beyond 10 minutes and something like it's like, oh, this is so. I understand for like tutorials or something like that, but it's so much content just like this. Yeah. I was actually thinking if I could hire Rhett. Right? Can I just hire you for like a day or a week?
If he ever gets a spare moment, he's yours. But we've been fighting so many battles here of different things. So, yeah. Like if he gets any free time when he's on my time, it's pro bono. Like he can edit your video. I don't think that's gonna happen though.
It'll be all the videos that you're on. I'll be like, Rhett, edit these for me. Go.
Right.
Technically, it's craft computing work. Go.
It benefits him. It's your job now.
Jeff, you want some free beer? I got some really rare stuff. Come on.
Yeah. Good.
Although I got a couple of because of the diet, all of my regular stuff is gone, and I pretty much only have wax dip.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, Jeff, I have like 25 anchorages.
Like I could make an appearance.
Like, you're twisting my arm, I guess.
Yeah.
For $100 of beer in one sitting.
Oh my God. Yeah.
In one bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. I could totally do that. No, I have kind of a similar problem where I go through my regular stuff fast enough where I can't keep regular stuff on hand. Not because I drink a lot, but because I have an employee who drinks free beer now.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
but things that
what used to be one beer at lunch is suddenly 2 beers at lunch, and surprisingly enough, it goes twice as fast when you only have one of those beers a day.
You just need to get those packs of Rainiers.
Right. Yeah, I need to start cutting it with some lower stock, as they say. So Anyways, lots of fun stuff coming up on the channel. I've got a small form factor PC review coming up tomorrow. I've got a pre-built desktop review coming up in the next week or so. I've got the HP Z440 build coming up. We've got some more stuff with SteamOS. We've got some more server stuff coming. Lots and lots of really fun projects. So, if you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already, because you will want to stick around. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing to keep up with daily shenanigans like this. And if you like the content you see on this channel and want to help support me in what I do, consider joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. Minimum contribution of $1 gets you access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the awesome community that hangs out over there, and take part in the super secret after party, which starts in just 15 minutes.
Right.